Good afternoon, brothers and sisters.
Good afternoon, Sifu.
How are you all today? Everybody good? Let me see. Now on the big screen, I can see everybody more clearly. There are still a couple of you who have not turned on your webcam. Please turn on your webcam. Yeah. When we attend classes online, take it like we are attending in person. So when you go and attend class, you don't wear a mask covering your face. Okay, so where are we now? We are down to the last part here. Yeah, last week we touched on 无智亦无得. Have we finished that? Have we finished the 无智亦无得? Or we started? We started, right? Yeah. So no inherent wisdom and no inherent attainments. So the last week, I think I shared with you all about how wisdom itself is dependent on the it's basically the removal of ignorance, yeah, and the attainments, the various attainments are none other than the it's basically labeled based on the basically the removal of various defilements as well. So in a nutshell, from the first section, second section to the third section, we start off from the things that we are most familiar with, that we are attached to, that which is subject to arising and ceasing, basically all the worldly things, then down to the path, and then to the fruit. Yeah. In other words, what is the collection of all this? It is basically covering all phenomena. Yeah, all phenomena. Yeah. So, so after that, 无智亦无得，亦无所得故. Yeah. So when a person cultivates to this point, yeah, be it one Buddha or any Bodhisattva or anyone for that matter, who is able to contemplate on the emptiness, on the dependent arising nature of all these phenomena, all the way up to that, then you come to the realization, come to the seeing that there's no phenomena in this world that is inherent. Yeah? That you can say, let me get this. Whatever you get is temporal, is unreal. Yeah, it is not inherent in existence. Yeah. So from there we arise the what? 无所得的智慧. Yeah. So it's a kind of wisdom. Yeah. So from the wisdom of emptiness, then you have the wisdom that there's nothing that you can truly grasp onto. Yeah. So in Chinese it's 无所得. That 色而不可得，受想行识不可得. That form, there's no inherent form that you can grasp on and you can say, I get physical form. Yeah. There's no inherent form that you can get. There's no inherent feelings, perception, mental formations, and consciousness that you can get. There's no 5 aggregates, 12 bases, 18 elements that you can get. There's no path, no fruit, no wisdom, no attainment that is inherent that you can acquire, that you can pursue, you can achieve. Yeah. So from there, you所得故. Yeah, it is through this wisdom of non-grasping, non-attachment. Yeah, and then what happened? Puti sattva, puti sattva, 依般若波罗蜜多故，心无挂碍，无挂碍故，无有恐怖，远离颠倒梦想，究竟涅槃. You all have the text on. So the Bodhisattva relying on the perfection of wisdom. Purisato I Purapolomitoku. Relying on the perfection of wisdom. By having this perfection of wisdom, which is the wisdom that sees the emptiness of all phenomena, not just this or that phenomena, not phenomena we like or don't like, but all phenomena. And when seeing in this way, then what happened? Xing Wu Guai. What is Xing Wu Guai? Simply put, it is that the mind is at ease. There's no more preoccupation in the mind. There's no troubling things in your mind. Your mind has no more attachment. Guai is basically grasping, is basically attachment. We have worry. In a way, we can say guai is worry. You all have guai. You have worry in your mind. What are the things you worry about? The things you worry about are the things that we like. Whether it's people, things, or events. Things that you desire. Worry arises from things that you desire. Worry arises from objects of desire. You prefer, you like, your worry comes from that. But the trouble is not with those objects. The trouble is not with those people, those things. The trouble is we think of them as truly real, inherent, existing, substantial. And because we see it in this way and no other way, so we fear that of its loss. We fear that something substantial is really being lost, potentially being lost. For the enlightened one, who has enlightened to the wisdom of emptiness, we see that nothing is lost, because nothing is gained to begin with. There's nothing substantial that truly exists. When you play, for example, when do you all build sandcastles? Do you all build sandcastles? Do you all like to build sandcastles? You all don't know what is sandcastles? Deprived childhood. You all should try building sandcastles. When I was young, I remember I built a lot of sandcastles. Not just when we go to the seaside, East Coast, but even in the playground. Now, playground nowadays is not fun. No sand. The playground nowadays is too safe, You have the rubber cushion below. Everything is so safe. Last time, the playground, you can fall from one story because we climb all the way up. You can fall down, and then the surrounding the playground is actually concrete block, and inside the concrete block is all sand. If you fall onto the sand, not so bad. If you fall off too far, hit the concrete block, also like that. So I built sandcastles. If you bring your niece and nephew or your children to the beach and they build sandcastles, when it's time to go, do they willingly go away? In all likelihood, they probably will not want to go away. Because they spend so much time building it up. They don't want to go away. But kids nowadays don't build sandcastles. Maybe they build Lego castles. They spend hours building the Lego. Then after that, you tell them, okay, keep. Are they willing to keep? To dismantle the Lego pieces? They are not willing to. Partly because they want to continue to play, but partly because the Lego toy, the Lego castle, is very real to them. Is it real to you? I hope not. In a way, Lego is very good tool for learning emptiness, you know. In each of the Lego brick, you cannot find cars, you cannot find houses, you cannot find anything. It's just a small unit. But you put together in a certain form, then you have a house, then you have a car, then you have all kinds of things. But yet, in each of the parts, you cannot find houses, you cannot find cars, and so on and so forth. But do we, even though we don't build sandcastles, and most of us are quite old already, Gee, do you still build sandcastles? Now cannot build sandcastles.
No.
No. Maybe after this, these two phase 2 lockdown, maybe we can organize a trip to the beach and build sandcastles. See who attain enlightenment. If you don't attain enlightenment, you stay at the beach for the rest of your life. Immediately, everybody, Sifu, I'm enlightened already. But the reality is, in our own life, we build our own sandcastles. We build sandcastles of our imagination of the future. Future potential gain, future potential loss. And because of this, our heart go up and come down. Yeah. We get excited based on a potential gain. We get excited based on the potential loss. In 2008, I was in Johor on a retreat, and I would come in and out, you know, because we don't have, because I thought that we have to come in and out every 1 or 2 weeks. But later I realized that we can actually stay there for 30 days or something. So sometimes my parents, my family would send me in and out. Sometimes my student would send me in and out. So in one of the session, he told me this. He was an accountant, and he told me this. He said, "Wow, Sifu, wow, it's very bad. Things are getting really bad." I was like, "Huh? What is getting very bad?" He said, "Half the value all gone." I said, "Well, what happened?" And then he looked at me and said, "Oh, you don't know what happened?" I said, "Yeah, I don't know. I'm in retreat." And he told me, "Oh, the global stock exchange value has just lost by half." Yeah, back in 2008, yeah, the Lehman Brothers fiasco, and then it just wiped out everything. And when he told me that, I thought about it, and I was like, see, it's not inherent in value. The value is not inherent, it's empty in nature. That's why the value can just disappear. If the stocks have inherent value, then no matter what happens, it doesn't change. But because the stock is dependent arising in nature, its value is dependent arising in nature, so the value can go up, can come down. But if we don't see this, when it go up, we feel like, wow, we gain something. Although we agree that the value go up because it's dependent arising, we actually really feel like something tangible came about. The teaching is not saying that something tangible can come about from conditions. It is saying that whatever come about is unreal in nature, is insubstantial. So even the gain is insubstantial. That's why that gain can disappear also. When there are no more conditions, the gain disappears. So we know half. It's not that we are totally ignorant of dependent arising nature. Yeah, we know that due to market forces is the condition, right? Those analysts always say, yeah, due to market forces. But when we say due to market forces, the value went up, we feel like there's really something tangible that came up. When due to market forces it go down, we feel like there's really something tangible that's lost. Now the teaching is saying, no, nothing gained, nothing lost, nothing increased, nothing lost. Nothing substantial that has increased, nothing substantial that has decreased. So the difference between those who have seen emptiness and those who have not is that their mind, those who are enlightened, have seen emptiness of all phenomena. Their mind, their heart remains quiet and still. Is unmoving. Yeah, it's not perturbed. Yeah, by whatever happens in this world. Whereas ours, before it happened, we are we are already, yeah, our mind is already going up and down, going up and down, simply based on our imagination of what can happen. And even when something happened, after it has happened and it's over, our mind can continue to go up and down. Yeah, have you ever felt happy or not happy over things that has happened in the past? Yeah. If you ever felt this way, don't worry, you're normal. Yeah. But there are those who, based on what has happened in the past, they continue to take it to be real, and they develop more and more anger and nurse the anger, and it becomes a grudge. It becomes a grudge. What is a grudge? It's basically you're making yourself feel a certain way permanently towards something or somebody. When we form a grudge, we are basically saying, never mind whatever happened, this is how I feel towards you. Yeah. If it's a happy emotion, maybe it's not so bad. But if it's an unhappy emotion, we are sentencing ourselves to life sentence of unhappiness, Yeah. Think about it. We learn emptiness for what? Learn emptiness so that the whole world is empty. No, the whole world, all phenomena is empty of inherentness, whether we know it or not. The purpose of learning emptiness is to free ourselves from all this bondage, from all these fetters, from all these shackles, from all the worries, unnecessary worry, unnecessary trepidation that we have, all the suffering, agony that we experience and continue to experience even after the fact. I'm not here to tell you that you don't have a right to be angry. Yeah, I'm sure there are good reasons for you to be angry. Yeah, but to realize that if we perpetuate that, then we basically perpetuate our own suffering. So those who are enlightened, they stop this suffering. Yeah, they stop all this sorrow, worry, sorrow, lamentation, pain, distress, and despair. All this 愁叹苦忧 are all put there. 心无挂碍, then 无挂碍故. Because there's no more attachment, no more grasping to any phenomena as being real, substantial. 无有恐怖, no more fear. Yeah, no more fear. 远离颠倒梦想, and you free yourself from the distorted perception. That is our own wishful thinking. Yeah, it's like a dream state. You think it's something real, but actually it's not real. You free yourself from that. As my teacher always like to say, in class he always say, 我们可能做个梦，梦见我们吃了很多馒头，吃了很多饺子。Yeah, maybe we have a dream. We dream that we had a lot of buns. We eat a lot of dumplings. Wow, and we are very satisfied. 吃得很饱. And when you wake up, you're still hungry. No, no dumpling. Even though maybe after learning the Heart Sutra, we can appreciate it to some extent, maybe it's still not easy on a day-to-day life to use it. But you can try this. Okay, try this. Ask yourself, how real is it whatever you're pursuing? How real is it whatever you're experiencing? Yeah. So instead of trying to use the teaching to convince yourself it's unreal, ask yourself, how real is it? To what extent is it real? You may have a different appreciation. You may find that, yeah, it's real, but is it that real that warrants me getting so worked up? Yeah. All the teachings that the Buddha gave ultimately is to help us overcome our suffering. Nothing more. Yeah. Free us from this prison that we created for ourselves. So 颠倒梦想 there's 四颠倒 there are four distorted perception. Yeah. 常乐我净 with respect to impermanence, yeah, we perceive it to be permanent. With respect to suffering, we perceive it to be happiness. With respect to no self, emptiness, we perceive it to be with self, to be inherent. With respect to impurity, we perceive it to be pure, to be pleasant, to be desirable. 常乐我净，四颠倒. So if we were to practice and attain to enlightenment and see the emptiness of all phenomena, then you truly see that which is impermanent, you see clearly as impermanent. That which is suffering, yeah, you see clearly as suffering. That which is no self, you see clearly as no self. That which is impure, you truly see it as impure. Yeah. Impermanence should be quite easy. Do you all know impermanence? Yeah. I think over here the youngest is Li Hui. Are you the youngest? Li Hui. I think she's the youngest. 23, 22 years old? 23. Yeah. Don't be shy. Very briefly tell people, 23. Yeah. Everybody look at her. She's the youngest. If you are jealous of her youth, remember her face. Li Fei, don't worry. All these are Heart Sutra practitioners. They look at you and they think youth is impermanent. Youth is dependent arising. Subject to change. Yeah. 四颠倒. Impermanence should be easy to understand. Yeah. Le is maybe a bit difficult. Yeah. That which we see as happiness, are we able to see that this happiness in terms of emptiness is not simply seeing that it is suffering, is to see that whatever happiness we perceive is empty in nature. Yeah, it's empty in nature. Is there happiness in this world? Yes or not? Say yes. Yes, of course. Yeah. Otherwise, all of you would have joined me already, huh? Huh? Yeah. Of course, there's happiness. So nice. Yeah. I have my son with me. He call me mommy, mommy. Yeah. I have my daughter with me. She call me mommy, mommy. Yeah. I have my family, my friends. I have all these things. Yeah. So nice. Yeah. So, uh, but can we see that it is empty in nature? Not so easy, huh? Not so easy. The third one is in a way quite straightforward. Yeah, 常乐我 self. Yeah, to see that whatever self we perceive is actually dependent arising. It's just artificially labeled as self. Yeah. 师父, this 师父 is dependent arising. When there are conditions, then you call this 师父. No conditions, you don't call this 师父. Yeah. Correct or not? Is it correct? If you zoom in until this part, right? If you zoom until like that, do you know that this is 师父? You know or not? Is this 师父? Is this 师父? 师父 or not? Can you see a 师父? Is there any 师父-ness inside? How about this? Any 师父-ness? Yet everything together, that's 师父. Yeah, but 师父 is actually easy because anyway, whether there's really 师父 or no 师父, substantial or not substantial, anyway, after a few more lessons, over already. Yeah. And yeah, anyway, how many of you are attached to 师父? Nobody. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. So I'm not the source of suffering for you all. Correct. If 师父 die tomorrow, at most maybe you all feel like, sư父 die tomorrow, but we still have 2 more lessons. One more or 2 more? 1 or 2 more? 1 more lesson. sư父, we still have 1 more lesson. No, we paid $30. Yeah. Then at most you feel, walao, this 师父, sabo, haven't finished, you die. Then after that, you forget about it. But if your family members, you are very hurt. You feel very sad. But even then, afterward, also not sad. Yeah, like last year when my father passed away, yeah, then the group cultivation the following week, I thought I can conduct. I started before I can talk for 5 minutes. I was just starting my preamble. Halfway through, I broke down. Yeah. But after that, also okay. Still can give Dhamma talk. Yeah, still can joke. Yeah. Correct or not? Yeah. You see, all look so serious now. But if so, this is the other thing about our human relations. Our human relations, you talk about self, right? Yeah. One of the greatest effect of our wrong view of self is our emotions involved in relationships. I see my sister cry already. So you see, like same father, right? Of course, same father. So when you see my sister cry, like now I just talk about my father, and then she cried already. But you see, 师父, both your daiji. So now most people, if this is not a context of a Dhamma talk, most people will think, this son got problem. How can he talk about his father's passing away like nobody business? Yeah. But of course, you all will say, you will speak up for Sifu. But he's Sifu ma, that's why he can translate it so quickly. But imagine, okay, imagine I'm not a monk. Then who do you think loved the father more? Of course, my sister, ma. My sister cried until like that. No, but my sister really feel a lot. Yeah. I'm a robot. I've been thinking, I think I'm a robot. Yeah. So not much emotions. Yeah. But our human emotions is very strange. Our human love is very strange. It is almost as though our human love is predicated on how much we suffer when we lose it. You know? Yeah. We define the intensity of our love very strangely by how much we suffer when we lose it. If anything at all, even if you cannot understand emptiness, I hope you all understand this. Of course, try to understand emptiness. But if you cannot understand emptiness, reflect on this. How we define love. Yeah. We can also apply emptiness on love. But before we do that, I want you to think about the nature of human love. That the way we somehow collectively look at love, human love, is defined by the pain and suffering we go through. It's almost like we are twisted and we doom ourselves to suffering, you know. Even though love is supposed to bring us happiness, isn't it? Huh? How many of you, when you see a guy, see a girl, and then you're like, oh, the guy's so irritating. I think I'm gonna fall in love with him. Huh? Or you see a girl, eee, I don't like this girl. I think I love her. Huh? Huh? I think I'm gonna go after this girl because she brings me suffering. Do you all think in this way? We don't, right? But yet we suffer most, we seem to suffer more when we love more. And conversely, we then define how much we love based on how much we suffer. But this is not the same for those who are enlightened. I like to think that they continue to love people. In fact, they love even more. But love without the selfishness, without the attachment. They love in the sense of caring purely for your welfare and benefit. They love in a way that it is totally about your well-being, not about how they feel. Yeah. But to reach that, have to have the wisdom of emptiness and selfless. No self is another name for emptiness. It is just the emptiness of an individual. But it's the same principle. Even in the Pali Canon, the universal characteristics, it states, Sabbe Sankara Anichati, all conditioned phenomena is impermanent. Sabbe Sankara Dukkati, all conditioned phenomena is suffering. Then Sabbe Dhamma Anattati, that all phenomena is no self. Yeah. So in which case then all phenomena is no self. What does that mean? That's basically emptiness. Emptiness of phenomena. So that one, maybe not so easy to truly appreciate it. Yeah, but also you can try. Can try. Whenever we suffer, go and check. Is there our strong attachment to self? Yeah. If you take the I, take you out of the equation, any more suffering? See what happens. See whether your suffering is due to your identification with the subject matter. Oh, this is mine. This is hers, his. This belong to them. This belong to us. If you remove that, is there still suffering? No. Try. 常乐我净. This 净不净, pure impure. More specifically, it's talking about beauty and fouliness. So do you all agree that there's beauty in this world? There is, right? That's why we 争 争. You know what is 争? 争呀呀. Right? We adorn ourselves. We adjust our hair. Yeah. We comb. Yeah. We wash our face. Wow, quite sticky. Haven't washed my face today. Yeah. Do you all wash your face every day? Yeah. Why do we wash our face? Of course, not just to be nice lah, hygiene also. But part of it, do we just wash it? I don't know lah. Maybe guys just wash it but ladies, do you all just wash it after washing? Do you do anything else? Well, some of you, no, I don't do anything else. Oh, very good. Why? Is it because you all have the confidence? 师父自然美. I'm naturally beautiful. That's why I don't have to do anything else. So the teaching is about how if you perceive beauty, we're not saying that there's no beauty. It is that beauty depends on condition. Yeah, depends on various condition. Then there is that beauty. Okay, so not removing beauty. But the strange thing is, think of a person you think is handsome or beautiful. Okay. Yeah, can think of such a person? Can. Then ask yourself, what does that person's physical body comprise of? Head hair, body hair, nail, teeth, skin, flesh, sinew, bone marrow, kidney, heart, liver, diaphragm, spleen, lungs. Yeah, large intestine, small intestine, content of stomach, feces, oil of a joint, urine, brain, fat, tears, grease, all kinds of things, Is there anything inside that is actually beautiful or handsome or pleasant? Huh? Yeah. Your hair, is your hair nice? Your hair nice or not? All the ladies. I see a lot of y'all have long hair. Nice or not? Sifu, act until like real. Yeah. Your hair nice or not? So if the hair is inherently nice, when it drops down into the toilet sink, the toilet, when you bathe and then you drop down there, yeah, when you look down at it, do you feel as attracted to the hair as when you see yourself in the mirror? Do you go down and arrange the hair, comb the hair down there? Precisely because beauty is dependent arising and empty in nature, that's why you can put on makeup, you can comb your hair, then you look tidy, then you look nicer. If beauty is inherent, then either you are beautiful or not beautiful. And if you wake up, you look, not beautiful. That's it. Habis. Okay, enough about this. I think all of you are practitioners. You must be thinking, 师父, why is this 师父? Spending so much time talking about beauty. We are not interested in beauty. We are only interested in emptiness. So 远离颠倒梦想. So if you are able to be free from all this distorted perception, then what happened? And ultimately, through the wisdom of emptiness, 究竟涅槃, then you can attain to ultimate, what you call it? Ultimate enlightenment, 究竟涅槃. So, what is the 究竟涅槃? What is 涅槃? Nirvana. What is nirvana? 涅槃. You know, some people, you ask them, what is 涅槃? Then they tell you nirvana. What is nirvana? 涅槃. that's the easiest way of answering a question. Give a just use the different language. Simply put, nirvana is the cessation of suffering. Yeah, cessation of suffering. Have I asked you all about your favorite toy in this class? Favorite toy? Not yet? Okay, good. Now I want you all to think of your favorite toy. In the past, not now. Maybe now you all still have favorite toy. Think of your favorite toy when you were in primary school. Okay, got it? Anyone unable to think of a favorite toy because you didn't have a toy? I mean, no joke, it is possible, okay? Those who don't have toys and you realize that you don't have a favorite toy, you can, you cannot see me after this because now we have, you can still see me because we can still have 2 visitors a day, yeah? So if you cannot have a favorite toy, I give this to you, okay? Don't cry, I give you a toy, okay? Where's my toy car? Okay. My toy car is here. Yes, so those who don't have toy, okay, I give you a toy. Okay. A bit broken already. So think of your toy, okay? Whatever toy is it? Yeah, Barbie doll, 5 stones, 0 point, the rubber band. Some of us have rubber band for toy last time. Okay, think of it. Got it? So try to remember how much joy it gave you. Yeah, how happy you were playing with it. Some of you shake your head. You don't have a toy that give you pleasure and happiness. Is that why you are attending Heart Sutra? Okay. If not favorite toy, favorite activity can. Okay, favorite activity also can. Okay. So either favorite toy, favorite activity. So think of how happy you were playing with the toy or doing your favorite activity. Okay, maybe your favorite activity is studying. Okay, maybe, I don't know. Some of us are a bit different. Okay, yeah, I'm open. Okay, so it's yeah, or maybe some of you, a lot of wholesome roots. Your favorite activity when you were 7 years old was doing meditation or doing chanting. So think of the time where you have a lot of joy, and then your mama come in and say, stop playing, time for dinner. Yeah, take away your toy. Yeah, or early in the morning, yeah, tell you to stop playing and you have to go to school. So what happened? Are you still happy? Say no. Oh, not happy. Yeah. I can see some of you immediately the face look down. Very sad. So without your toy, you felt sad. With a toy, you felt happy. Do you have your toy with you now? No. So imagine if Sifu, maybe I do some chanting for you, and then I magically make the toy appear. Oh, money came home. Then all of you get your own toy. Unfortunately, I can't do that. I'm not able to do that. Sorry. you all attend this Heart Sutra, this Sifu don't have magical power. But imagine, okay, play along with me. Imagine now you have your favorite toy and how do you feel? Do you feel as excited as before? No, And now, all your toy disappeared. Hey, see, already disappeared. So now, do you feel as sad as before? Also, no. So what happened? What is the difference? What is the difference between you now and the past? Why is it that now you don't feel as happy over that same toy, and you also don't feel as sad over the loss or disappearance of that toy? Why? What changed? Assuming the toy didn't change, yeah. Assume not the same toy, but we produce a replica of the toy. They managed to find a mint condition version of your toy. So what changed? Of course, we changed, right? So what is it about us that changed? Something must have changed, huh? At this point, some students in the past will give me the model answer. Sifu, because now I no longer have attachment towards the toy. I no longer have greed, hatred, and delusion towards the toy. Yeah. Whatever we want to phrase it, okay, it's okay. There's something that changed. The way we relate to the toy has changed. Yeah. So much we know. Exactly what? It may vary from person to person. But what is clear is, because of the changes of how we relate to the toy, maybe we outgrew it, maybe we found new toys. But whatever the case is, we have changed in terms of the toy. And because of that change, we are no longer subject to elation with respect to the toy. And we are not subject to suffering as far as the toy is concerned. Agree? Yeah. So if that's the case, then we can say that as far as the toy is concerned or the activity is concerned, we have experienced liberation. Yeah. We have attained nirvana as far as the toy is concerned. So it's only partial, very limited, and only temporal, very temporary. In future, when the condition is right, you may become attached to that same thing again, and then you suffer again. But at least for now, you don't. Think about it. We all learn so much Dharma for what? We learn so much Dharma in order to be free of suffering, right? But if we don't know how it's like to be free of suffering, then how do we know whether we are progressing or not? So this example, I've been sharing over the past 10 over years, is perhaps one way for us to appreciate the principle of causality and the cessation process. That our suffering arising is hinging on how we relate to things, how we relate to people. That at least the principle, of cessation is sound. That suffering cannot exist in and by itself. Without the right conditions, you cannot suffer. So much we know. And that is very crucial. Because otherwise we reread, 有那一天的梦想究竟涅槃 attain to ultimate nirvana. But how can we be sure? At least we know that in principle, nirvana is possible. That as long as you are not attached to something, that you relate to it differently, then you at least your suffering will reduce and perhaps be totally eradicated. And if you then apply that to everything, and if you manage to apply that to everything, then you're fully liberated. Unfortunately, we are not, because we found new toys. This toy disappeared, we found new toy. This one disappeared, we found another toy. we keep changing toys. Yeah. So no end. Yeah, no end. Koi Yong asks, but Shifu, what about our thoughts of the toy? Does it mean we hadn't let go of the thoughts? Where is Koi Yong? Koi Yong, yes. What about our thoughts of the toy? What thoughts do we have, Koi Yong? Let me just clarify your question. When you say, what about our thoughts of the toy? Do you mean that we are pining for the toy, or what? I'm trying to make sure I understand your question correctly. You are typing, huh? I see you look up, look down, looking at the keyboard. Okay, we wait for her to type. Meanwhile, let me drink some water. The moment you mentioned about the toy, my thought is the only toy which I had when I was a kid. Am I attached to the toy or the thoughts? Yes. Interesting, isn't it? If not for the mentioning of such a toy, we would not have thought about the toy to begin with, right? And when you didn't think of your toy, were you affected by the toy in any way? No, huh? So, of course, it doesn't mean that after thinking about the toy that you would be affected, right? Your question, am I attached to the toy or the thoughts? It depends. You know. The question is, perhaps to help you decipher it, you can check yourself. When Shifu mentioned about this thought experiment, and you thought about the only toy you had, how did you feel? Yeah, perhaps you feel a sense of reminiscent. Yeah, perhaps it can be a sense of joy. Yeah, just a thought, no feeling. Then maybe not much attachment to it. Just because you're able to recollect that you had only one toy, that itself doesn't qualify to be considered attachment. Yeah. An easy way to know whether there's attachment is to see how we respond to something when we lose it. Many times we don't feel like we are attached to something or someone. But when that something or someone is about to be lost, or when it is lost, then you can see whether you are truly attached. If there's a lot of strong emotions, yeah, that start to stir, then it's likely that there's strong attachment. Yeah. Okay. But your question is interesting because sometimes it may be directly with the object. Sometimes it's actually to the thoughts itself. We can be attached to our thoughts also. Yeah. Just as we can be attached to our perception of things, not so much the things. We can be attached to our perception of a person and not really the person, you know. Yeah, just as we say, sometimes people are in love with their perception of that person and not in love with that person. So, 究竟涅槃. So the nirvana that the enlightened ones attain to is not partial, it's not temporal. Yeah. but it is beyond beyond the permanent or impermanent. Yeah, it's a complete. You can say that it's a complete cessation. Yeah, complete cessation of suffering. 究竟涅槃. Then after that, so up to this point, and beyond that, 三世诸佛. Here we talk about the fruits. Yeah, talk about the results. What is the benefit? Yeah, and how does that happen? 三世诸佛, the Buddhas of the three time period, the past, the future, and the present. You'll find that this phrase is found in many sutras. Almost all the teachings always talking about 三世, past, future, and the present. So, but there's a 诸, 三世诸佛. 诸, the word 诸, it also means all. So we may wonder, just say all Buddhas, or isn't that enough? But here it's highlighting all Buddhas in the past, Buddhas in the future, and Buddhas in the present moment. Yeah, so including all Buddhas. Just like now, we say, oh, okay, all Singaporeans. Sometimes we may, most of the time, we refer to the Singaporeans at the present moment, isn't it? Yeah. When it comes to law, then usually it's from the present moment forward. Yeah, it applies to everybody from this point onward. Yeah. When we say Singaporean, do we mean Singaporean 300? Cannot be 300 years ago, because 300 years ago Singaporeans don't exist. Singapore don't exist. So when we say Buddha, here, 三世诸佛, Buddhas in the past, those who have attained enlightenment already. Buddhas in the present, including Sakyamuni Buddha, including Buddhas in the other world who has attained enlightenment. Yeah, including what? Future Buddhas. Who are the future Buddhas? No? No? These are the future Buddhas. But some take longer than others. No? All these future Buddhas. No? Oh. So must pay respect to all of you. All the future Buddhas. So what? Future Buddhas. Do you know how to attain enlightenment? Here the sutra tell you. 三世诸佛依般若波罗蜜多故. So still dependent on the prajna paramita. Depends on the perfection of the wisdom. To do what? The anyatulo samyao samputi. To attain the unsurpassed perfect enlightenment. Equal and perfect enlightenment. 三世诸佛依般若波罗蜜多故，得阿耨多罗三藐三菩提。阿耨多罗 anuttara 无上 unsurpassed. So that the Buddha's attainment is unsurpassed by anyone in the world. 正等正觉 三藐三菩提. 三藐三菩提 is transliteration also. It translates to 正等正觉 or 正等觉. So what is this 正等正觉? Samma Sambuddhi. It is referring to how the awakening that each Buddha attained to is equivalent to the attainment that other Buddhas attain to. So no, it's not that some Buddha are higher level than other Buddha. If you reach Buddhahood, that's the maximum already. And how is it done? Through the perfection of wisdom. And here I want to cite my teacher. My teacher highlighted saying, from here we can have a news. 我们有一个消息. We have a piece of news. The enlightenment is through our own cultivation. Through the cultivation of samatha and vipassana. That we must do the three-stage practice. 闻思修戒定慧. We must listen to the teachings. We must contemplate on teachings. We must cultivate accordingly. We must cultivate, we must learn and cultivate Sila, Samadhi, Panya. Yeah, yeah. The precepts, the concentration practice, and the development of wisdom. Then we can attain Buddhahood. Practicing all the paramitas. And it's not that, oh, someone give you the enlightenment. Yeah, because there are some traditions that say, oh, the Buddha, at the break of dawn, he opened his eyes and he looked at the star in the sky, and then and then some being give him the wisdom or something. No, you don't agree. You say it is through the perfection of wisdom, through your own cultivation. Yeah, but yet this cultivation is not inherent. It's not just done by yourself also. It is done through 文思修戒定慧. That means you also have to depend on other conditions. What condition? You must depend on the condition of teachers, yeah, or fellow cultivators. You must depend on the Buddha to have turned the Dharma wheel, to show the way, the noble eightfold path. Then you can learn, you can practice. And that Buddha in turn had to depend on past Buddha. Yeah. Of course, then a part of us is like, then there must have been a first Buddha. Right? Human beings, we are wired this way, you know. We are almost like, it's a very strange wiring. We cannot comprehend things that has no start, no end. We feel it must have a start. Yeah. This part, I can explain to you in principle, yeah, which is basically causality. Yeah. That no Buddha is just a Buddha. The Buddha must have learned from past Buddha, and that Buddha must have learned from past Buddha. So in principle, it makes complete sense. Yeah, but not easy to convince. Not easy to be convinced of that. Only way to convince yourself of that, attain enlightenment. Yeah, this part, because this part in principle is straightforward, ma. The trouble with us is we are not always convinced via principles. You know? Yeah. So 三世之佛依般若波罗蜜多故，得阿耨多罗三藐三菩提。故知般若波罗蜜多四大神咒、四大明咒、四无上咒、四无等等咒，能除一切苦，真实不虚。Yeah. So, this perfection of wisdom is what is known as great. Here you can refer to my notes. I give some explanation inside, and there are 4 parts, right? 四大神咒、四大明咒、四无上咒、四无等等咒。Yeah. 三世之佛依般若波罗蜜多故，大家都三藐三菩提，不是般若波罗蜜多。Yeah. So hence it is to be known that this perfection of wisdom is what? It's known as the great brilliance, great divine mantra. So here the sun, right? Here the sun, just now Sifu, you say it's not given by some divine being. Here sun so 2 things here. First thing is, here the sun is referring to how this is a rare, this is not a common teaching. And the zhou here, here this is interesting. In the Chinese Mahayana tradition, and I think in perhaps Tibetan tradition also, there are those who believe that this zhou here, the mantra here, is referring to the mantra at the end. You know, the one at the end, gate gate paragate parasangate buddhi swaha, that one, yeah. So in the lineage I was trained in, my teacher says it doesn't refer to that. He says this 四大神咒, the word 咒 here is basically referring to the teachings, the verses, yeah, the verses of emptiness. These verses of emptiness is a divine verse. Yeah. In the sense that they are rare, it's uncommon. Normal people won't think that things are not inherent. Normal people think that things are substantial, think that it is inherent. It is uncommon for people to naturally look at things and say, oh, this is dependent arising and empty in nature. And hence it is a divine, it is a rare teaching. 四大神咒 is a great divine teaching. 四大明咒. So what if it's uncommon? It is of great wisdom. The Ming here, 日月明, is right at the start we talk about it. That it is representative of wisdom. It is an analogy for wisdom. There is great wisdom. In what way is it great wisdom? It describes reality. And it can, in Buddhism, wisdom is not simply about knowledge. It's not about intelligence. Wisdom must lead to well-being. It must lead to removal of suffering. You can have wrong wisdom. Wrong wisdom leads to suffering. Right wisdom leads to end of suffering. So 四大明咒. So 四无上咒, that there's no other teaching, that is parallel, or that is beyond it. 四无等等咒, and there's no teaching that is beyond it also. 能除一切苦, and it can put an end to all suffering. And at this point, we wrap up from the front. The first sentence of this sutra, 观自在菩萨行深般若波罗蜜多时，照见无因皆空，度一切苦厄. Right at the start, the opening, it declares that when观世音菩萨practice the perfection of wisdom in deep concentration, in a profound way, he was able to observe and see that the five aggregates are all empty in nature, and in this way put an end to all suffering. And here wrap up. 能除一切苦. In what way is it that seeing that the five aggregates is empty in nature can remove all suffering? When you see indeed that the five aggregates basically encompassing the 12 bases and 18 elements, you see that all phenomena is empty in nature. Then your grasping doesn't arise. And here again, I want to highlight, it is not that we have to consciously let go of things. It is that when you see that there's nothing tangible to grasp onto, then you stop grasping. Not because you force yourself to not grasp, not because you force yourself to let go, but because you realize that you are grasping at your own idea of what is out there. Not that there's something tangible that you can grasp onto. And in this way, whatever fear, whatever suffering that may arise because of attachment is removed. So namely, the rebirth in this world, in various realms, that is driven by ignorance, driven by greed, hatred, and delusion, are all put to an end. And for the Bodhisattvas, the Buddhas, when they reach this state, then their existence in the cyclical samsaric existence, driven by ignorance, greed, hatred, and delusion, comes to an end. But in the Mahayana teaching, we say, then their work truly starts. That is the start, the real start of their work. 开始真正的做佛事。Yeah. 广度众生。That is the point where then you truly do your Bodhisattva work. Do the Buddha's work. Yeah. Because then you don't come back driven by all these afflictions anymore. But instead, if there's a condition, if there are conditions for you to arise and be of benefit for sentient beings, then you arise. Yeah. And then when you appear in this world, it is declared out of compassion, yeah, for the welfare and benefit of many. So and so arise in this world. Yeah. And proclaim the good Dhamma. But sometimes in the sutra it says that there are no conditions for a Buddha to arise. Yeah. Then how? What do? They just sit around, wait for their turn. Yeah. In the Mahana teachings it says the Buddhas don't sit around. Yeah. You may be familiar with the 观世音菩萨普门品, right? 因以何身得度者，即现何身而为说法。In the Avalokitesvara's Buddha's Bodhisattva's teaching on the universal Dhamma door, it states that Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, dependent on the needs of sentient beings, he would arise in this world, manifest in different forms. If a person requires a man, a woman, a layman, a laywoman, he would appear as a layman or a laywoman. If a person requires a monk or nun, they will appear as a monk or a nun. If the person requires a king, a minister, in order to learn, then the Bodhisattva will appear likewise. If a person requires to see Brahma, Sakka, and so on, then the Bodhisattva will arise in that form. Yeah, up to if a person requires to see a Buddha, a perfectly enlightened one, then they will appear as a perfectly enlightened one. Now, do y'all do that? Every time when I conduct Sutra, I look at the students and I wonder, Scarly, all of you are all the great Bodhisattva. I'm the only one who is not enlightened. Then all of you are like, I don't know how many times more this guy had to teach. Then he get enlightened. How many more times? How many kappa he teach? He keep on teaching, but he's still not enlightened. Yeah. So so it is true and it is not false. So this part, my teacher explained it as that, first of all, it is true, it is in line with reality, but even more importantly, 不虚. So 虚 has the meaning of falsehood. Yeah. So that it is unreal, it is false. In what sense? Here it says 不虚, not that it's 虚. So 虚 means unreal, that is false. So it says, my teacher says, the samsaric world is 虚假的, that is false. Yeah. When you look at this world, do you not see and then perceive quite naturally that it's permanent? Agree or not? Yeah. When you look around this world, do you consciously look at it and say, "Hey, looks very impermanent"? Yeah. Or does it look permanent or impermanent? Looks permanent, isn't it? But over time, what happened? Does it continue to persist? No, it doesn't persist. Yeah. So it gives you the impression of permanence, but then in reality it's impermanent. So my teacher says, whereas for the teaching, if it declares it as impermanent, it is impermanent. Yeah. If it declares it to be suffering, it is suffering. It is true. It is not. 它不欺骗你, it doesn't lie to you. It promises you that if you practice this way, you will be free of suffering. Your suffering will gradually reduce, and eventually you attain enlightenment. You're free of suffering. In this world, how many times have we been promised that you'll be happy? How many people have promised you, I will give you happiness? Sure or not? Yeah? Yeah. I will give you happiness. Be my boyfriend. Be my girlfriend. Yeah, marry me. You'll be happy. Luckily, luckily we are easily deceived. That's why human race still around. if all of us are actually not lucky also, if all of us are so wise, right, then nobody would believe such statements. Yeah. That's why at most I say, as long as I'm alive, yeah, I'll try my best to help you. I'll be there to help you. Yeah. There are limitations, ma. Right or not? Have you ever heard of your boyfriend or girlfriend tell you, "Wow, I've been thinking of you." Huh? Have or not? Have. Yeah. Some of you smile, some of you don't smile. Those who smile because you ever heard of this before. Those who don't smile because, nobody said that to you before. Huh? You all like people to tell you that, oh, I miss you so much. I've been thinking of you. Yeah, I miss you every day. Rubbish every day. The worst is people who tell you, I miss you every single day, every moment. Huh? Sure not. When you're in the toilet shitting, you also miss me. Yeah. So in my whole life, right, I've only tell people I miss them a bit. Once in a while, I think of you. And then the person, huh? Oh, first time people say a bit. They say, but that's the truth. I only miss you a bit. And the teaching, this teaching doesn't lie to you. Yeah. It declares that all phenomena is empty in nature. As you learn more, you explore more, you contemplate more, you see, indeed it's true. Yeah. So, 真实不虚. Oh, almost end up. Hey, we can finish today. First time in all these years, I managed to finish before the last lesson. Yeah. 四大神咒、四大明德书、上德事物等等咒，能除一切苦，真实不虚，故说般若波罗蜜咒。Then behind 故说般若波罗蜜多咒，即说咒曰。So 故说般若波罗蜜多咒， this 咒 is still referring to the teachings. Yeah. Then 即说咒曰。Yeah. And hence the following gatha, the following verse or mantra, if you will, is said. Yeah. So the subsequent one is the gate parasamgate buddhiswaha. And this gate parasangate buddhiswaha in various, my teacher over here didn't elaborate much, but from what I've seen from other teachers, other translators, they say that this gate parasangate refers to the attainments of various fruits, yeah, up to all the way to Buddhahood. Up to Buddhahood. Yeah. So if you interpret gate parasangate as the soul, yeah, itself, then a bit disconnected. But what does it mean when the Buddha exhort the disciples to go to go forth, to go totally across, yeah, to transcend, yeah, the great and attain the great awakening. So we can look at it and say, when we listen, when we hear the mantra, Gate, Gate, Paragate, Parasamgate, Buddhi Swaha, then we should be reminded. Whatever we see, whatever we hear, whatever we smell, taste, touch, and we think about, these are dependent arising and subject to conditions. These are empty in nature. Whatever sorrow we feel, we experience, the sorrow do exist, but even the sorrow exists dependent on conditions. It is also unreal. So sorrow is impermanent. It is no self. It is empty in nature also. Yeah, it depends on conditions for it to arise. Without conditions, you will not be sorrowful. And the conditions themselves, in turn, are also empty in nature. So we always hear the phrase, right? These too shall pass. Yeah, right? Why is it that these two shall pass? Because it's empty in nature. That's why it shall pass also. So that statement, these two shall pass, can be from our experience, but it can be rooted in wisdom also. Now, using wisdom, we look at things, we know that these two shall pass. 它是必尽空的, then ultimately it will cease. So, how many of you attain to perfect enlightenment already? It's good also. Then we can have more Q&A. We can have more Q&A. I think in the past lessons, I spent a bit more time on the 12 links of dependent origination. This time around, I just spent, I think, 1.5 lesson on it. Yeah. Also because half the class was online, so not so much questions. Yeah. And also because I answer questions offline. You know, the past few weeks I've been answering questions offline. Do you have any questions? So reflect on this. The first stage, all the things that is subject to change, arise and cease, and then the teachings itself, the path, whether it's the path to suffering or path to cessation of suffering, they are not inherent. And then ultimately the fruit, even the perfect enlightenment, all these are empty in nature. But for us, the focus should be more on the first part. So I have also shared with you all the interdependency gratitude chart. Have I? I shared with you all, right? In the end, did I ask you all to do the exercise? No, huh? Then let me revisit this, because the intention was for you all to do the exercise. So this is the interdependency gratitude chart. So there are 4 quadrants. On the top left-hand corner, it is the inner qualities. The bottom left-hand corner is the abilities, which is more external. And the top right-hand corner, it is the 人事, people, experience, and things. Yeah. And then the bottom right-hand corner, simple things in your life. So for each of the quadrant, and then in the center, you put your name and write down mine, me, and myself. And for each of the quadrant, just write down 3 things. I'm sure there are many more things to write, but just write down 3 things. Oh. Have I shown you all this chart in this class? No, oh, I think I showed in the morning, is it? I shared in the morning. No wonder I was like, I pasted here, but I haven't shown it. Yeah. So I hope you all can see this clearly. I'm going to zoom into the part here. I chose to use a worldly example because it's easier for us to understand. And I think I shared during the morning session about how this started off because of a question from some youths way back in 2007, I think, 2006 or 7. So after the series of the class, then they came to me and asked me, how do you use the teaching on emptiness to overcome pride? Yeah. So I elaborated to them with my own example, saying that, for example, when I think about programming, yeah, it's something that I'm quite proud of. But when I reflect on it, actually, it depends on many, many conditions. Yeah. That night when I shared with them, I didn't go through so much details, but this became the basis for this chart. Yeah. So if you were to follow me with this simple chart over here, you'll see programming. Yeah. Oh. And then from programming, you see the arrow, mathematics, computers, and computer languages. Yeah, so this is the first cut that is required for programming to take place. And there must be mathematics, there must be computers, and then computer languages, right? But in order for me to know mathematics, then I must know English, yeah, and I must have attended classes and lectures, and so on. Of course, the chart itself is incomplete. I just drew as much as I can. Yeah, and even though it's incomplete, you can see how messy it is. Yeah, how much lines are going around. So, needless to say, if you follow through, you will see that just from one ability, you require so much resources. Yeah, and I always tell people, one of the key factor for me to learn programming was actually this television program called Me and My Micro. Yeah, it was airing in SBC 12, yeah, channel 12, and it is produced by BBC. Yeah. But at that point in time, I was in secondary school, Sec 1. And by the time I arrived home, half the program is gone. Yeah. So I asked my father whether he can help me record the program. The program is about 1 hour. So he had a discussion with my mom, and ultimately they both agreed to help me do the recording. Initially, my mom was like, so it's yeah. But it's not that my mom want to stop me from learning programming. But back in the 80s, mid 80s, nobody know what programming computer is, Yeah. And her concern was whether I'm actually putting in time to learn my subjects in school. So anyway, my father, because he worked in PUB, and in PUB they have, I think, those mini system, which is not personal computers, but those something, I think is something in between mainframes and those terminals. I think they were using mostly terminal machines. Yeah. So anyway, every week he would religiously record, and then when I come back, I will watch the remaining. Then I will stop the recording. Then I will rewind, play, and you have no idea how many times I forward, rewind, forward, rewind. And in those days, it's not like now when you watch YouTube, you can just drag the, the sliding bar. In those days, you literally have to, yeah. And over time, the tape wear out, So the recording become poorer and poorer quality. Yeah, that's how I learned programming initially. Yeah, the teacher in school actually taught us programming also, but I found it very boring. so, so because this program actually teach you how to write games. Yeah, and that's how I started. So I always feel that, yeah, whatever achievement I have in terms of programming is because of these conditions. And of course, I put my parents up here. Yeah. Although I just draw a line here to me and my micro, actually they are linked to everything. All these things is not possible without my parents. Yeah. And so so this chart itself is not meant to make you feel miserable about yourself. That, oh, you're nothing. No, no. It's meant to help us have a more balanced view of ourselves. Yeah. It doesn't mean that your ability is nothing. It just means that your ability didn't happen by chance. It didn't just happen because of one person or two person, nor is it because of you alone, but by the collection of all these conditions. Yeah. And so if you were to reflect on whatever abilities you have, what is there to be proud of? I always remember how we watch television programs. We watch, or not television programs alone, but in school, whenever there's awards day or whatever, then those who go up to receive the award, right, will always say, oh, I want to thank this person, that person, including all the 金马奖 lah, whatever 奖, right? All the, yeah. And they always thank this person, that person. To be very honest, I always feel that it's very cliche, it's very, I feel that it's very fake. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, the one who is getting a prize, I just get over a bit. Lah. You're good one, that's why you get a prize one. And perhaps some of them really feel that way. But out of politically correctness, they go up, they must thank people. But I like to think that a good number of them truly appreciate that their success didn't happen by themselves, didn't happen by chance, but through the collective effort of many people. So now when I see people thanking others, yeah, when they are successful, I can appreciate that is truly the way it is. So it doesn't mean that you have no ability. You really have some ability, but the ability is dependent arising. And if you consider that, then quite naturally you should be grateful to all these conditions, ma. Agree? Yeah. Also, in Buddhism, we also practice gratitude, but the gratitude in Buddhism is rooted in wisdom. Because normally, how are we grateful? We're grateful to whom we like. Yeah, a lot of people help us, but we tend to be grateful to the last person who helped us. We tend to be grateful to the person that we are closest to. More grateful. But if we were to use emptiness to reflect, everybody play a part. Yeah. Everybody play a part. So the other ones, let me just briefly touch on them. Inner qualities is more about your own so-called traits. Yeah. Try to see whether these traits really just happen by itself. And then at the top right-hand corner, people, experiences, and things is more about 人事物. Yeah, people, events, and things. Think of those things that is like that made a positive impact on your life. Yeah. In my case, I chose my parents, first job in the house. Yeah, these are things that made an impact in my life. I mean, if I really want to write down people, I have to write down a lot of people. But if I have to short list, then I will write down my parents. It doesn't mean that if you don't write down your parents, you are a bad person, okay? So don't don't feel like Sifu is setting a trap for you. Yeah, it's okay. We all have lead different life, and different people touch us and help us in different ways. Yeah. And then the last quadrant, simple things in life. We tend to thank those big things, but we tend to not thank the small things. Yeah. So the simple things in life is about the things that we take for granted. Drinking water lah, electricity lah, internet lah. Maybe we should add MRT lah. So one angle is to reflect on how these items depend on many other individuals and conditions and factors. Yeah, think about it. Every day when we turn on the tap, we have potable water. Just turn on the tap, boom, we have water. The fact that we can have this class online is because there's electricity, most fundamentally, right? Among other things. That we have internet is because of those folks in US that they come out with the ARPANET to begin with, right? Yeah. And so on and so forth. And then to consider how these things, as simple as they are, I mean, some are not so, most of them are not so simple, really. Yeah, but to consider how they collectively contribute to our life. That our simple life is not possible, even though our life is very simple, but it is not possible without all this in place. And not that we are asking for anything big or tremendous, but just a simple life, it requires so many individuals. Yeah. So try this exercise. Then maybe it can help you to feel, to appreciate the people in your life. Yeah. And the people who is not in your life also. Okay, I have nothing left to say. Do you have any questions? So this is the last exercise. I will post it into the channel so you all can take a look. Oh. Hi, Shifu, can you explain what is the 18 elements? Okay, Peishan asked. So the 18 elements is basically the 12 bases plus the 6 different consciousness. Oh, let me just perhaps share screen, then I show you. So we have the over here. So it's somewhere. Yeah, I explained it actually way ahead. Oh, so let's patient. Okay. So So the 18 elements is basically, I hope you all can see my pointer. Let me use a different color. Purple. Okay. So we have eye, ears, nose, tongue, body, mind. So these are 6 sense bases. Then 6 sense bases correspond to the 6 sense objects: form, sound, smell, taste, touch, and mental object. And correspondingly, when sense base and sense object come together, this forms the condition for sense consciousness to arise. Sense consciousness to arise. So you would have the different consciousness arising dependent on the sense base. So for when I come in contact with form, it then gives rise to eye consciousness. Yeah. Ear give rise to what consciousness?
Ear consciousness, sound consciousness.
Huh? Cannot hear. Am I muted? Not muted. Hang on, let me check. Is it my side or your side? Can you speak up?
Oh yeah, I can hear.
Can you all hear her? Or can her? Oh, that is my side. Hang on. Let me check. How come my side has no sound? So in the end, maybe you all have been asking me question, but I cannot hear. What happened? Speaker, correct one. Can you try again?
Can?
Long John, can you try speaking? I can't seem to hear anybody. 无声胜有声。
师傅 can hear?
I also cannot hear.
Can 师傅 hear me?
So my mic, no, this thing has been out for a while. What happened? Okay, never mind. Let me see. Where is the thing? Hang on. Can you try speaking?
师傅 can hear me?
Just speak.
Oh, 师傅 can hear me or not?
But now?
Can hear? Can hear? 师傅 can hear me?
No sound.
No sound.
Yeah. Okay. So see, no condition, no sound. What happened? Let me check my setting. Okay, but let's not let this affect our understanding here. Ear consciousness give rise to ear sound give rise to ear consciousness, and so on. Yeah. So the 6 consciousness is named after the sense base. Okay. So 6 sense base, 6 sense object, and 6 consciousness, sense consciousness together, 18 elements. Okay. And as I explained this morning, the trouble is not with sense base or sense object or sense consciousness for that matter. It is that when these 3 come together and then there is contact, it gives rise to feelings or sensation, and then we become attached to it. We craving and clinging arise. That is the fetter. That is the thing that we are trying to remove. So we don't try to remove our eye. We don't try to remove physical form because we say, oh, this person caused me to have greed to have lust, to have desire. This person, I see this person, then I have anger. Yeah, I mentioned this morning. Yeah, so it's not like that. But instead, it is to remove the craving and attachment. Okay. Fortunately. Here consciousness. Okay, I got the answer. What does Sapoha in Puthi Sapoha? So the Sapoha, as far as I know, it refers to awakening. Yeah. Or more like an exclamation. Yeah. Yeah. The source that I found is the Puthi is the awakening, and then the Sapoha is like, yes, great awakening, something like that. Oh, Ellison and Everett, yeah. So, but why in the 12 dependent origination, consciousness arise before six sense space and object? Yes. Yeah. So that's the exercise I asked you all to do, to reflect, right? Yeah, precisely my point. So usually we say, or rather not we say, in the Sutta, the Buddha described the process, right? So you have sense-based sense object, giving rise to sense consciousness. Three coming together is contact as a basis, feelings arise. So the sense-based sense object always precedes the consciousness. Yeah. And then consciousness is before contact. So when you look at the 12, in various texts, the consciousness is described as the consciousness that entered the womb. Yeah. Or the consciousness that first arises in this world. So it's not referring to when our six sense bases come in contact with the world. Yeah, because at that moment, the six sense basis is not developed. And hence, that's why the consciousness actually that arise before the six sense basis is referring to the crucial it is referring to the consciousness that plays a crucial role in the process of that rebirth process, that rebirth cycle. Oh. Okay. Yeah, good to clarify. Does that answer your question? Yes, okay. How about the rest? Any other questions? And listen, your question was answered in the morning. Also, you can take a look at the channel, the video clip. 不小心教完了。I cannot close my eyes. I was thinking, let me close my eyes. And when you all ask questions, then I will respond. Then suddenly I remember the mic is, the speaker not working. If I close the eyes, how come nobody asks questions? Let's see how long it takes before people feel awkward. Sis asks, Shifu, will a person who is more indifferent to things, people around, have less attachment? Maybe just attachment to himself or herself? Thank you, Shifu. A person who is more indifferent to things or people around have less attachment? Maybe. Maybe. Maybe just attachment to himself or herself. Yeah, for sure, there's some attachment to themselves. But hard to say whether the reason why they have. Here is saying, oh, because a person is indifferent, then have less attachment. Yeah. The question is whether the indifference is due to non-attachment. But that's not so clear. A person may be indifferent to things because over time the person get hurt too many times. Yeah. So actually appear indifferent, but inside actually but it could be the person is not attached. That's why appear indifferent. But I must say, a person who is not attached with wisdom wouldn't be indifferent also. Yeah. It is not that the enlightened ones are just indifferent to this world. They are unperturbed. Doesn't mean they are indifferent. Unperturbed and indifference, what's the difference? So the enlightened ones, they are not, the defilements are not triggered as a result. They are not moved by self-interest. Yeah. We can perhaps say that they are moved by compassion. When we say that, but Sifu just now you said they are unperturbed, they are unmoving. Yeah, they are unmoving in terms of their defilements. If the Buddhas and Arahants, they are totally unmoving, then they will just sit there and, right? Yeah, but we see from the suttas that the Buddha would reach out to those who are ready for the truth. He'll reach out and observe who is having trouble, who can be helped. Not based on his liking, but based on the readiness of the individuals to be helped. Yeah. For most people, we are stirred by our emotions, driven by our emotions. Then we do things. And even the person who is indifferent, so inside may stir, but appear indifferent. And when the person is indifferent, people suffering may be also indifferent. Yeah. So it's different from the non-attachment, different from the wisdom state of the enlightened ones. But the second part is trickier. Attachment to himself, self, only that person knows. But even then, I should say, most people who are attached to themselves, they may not know. Yeah, yeah, because unless you really examine yourself, otherwise hard to know. So because of the past conditioning of the past classes, where every class I exceed time, so now you all have expectation that Sifu can talk and talk and talk and talk non-stop. Yeah. But that is also dependent arising and empty in nature. So today, finish the text. So no more conditions. So Sifu have nothing to talk also. So you all have any questions? Oh, Koyong has one more question. What does it mean by attachment to oneself? Well, one way of looking at it is that you are attached to your body and mind. For example, our way of thinking. Okay, you are attached to your way of thinking. So when a person is attached to their way of thinking and doesn't change, then we say that person is quite stubborn. right? Can you understand? Yeah. You agree? If you agree, then I throw in a spanner into the engine. When we like the person, when we don't like the person and the person insists on their way of thinking, we say the person is stubborn, obstinate, very insistent. But when we like the person, then and the person insists, we say, oh, the person have principle. We are very subjective. So the consciousness in the 12 links of dependent origination has relation to our last thought at death. Or does the consciousness in the 12 links has relation to our last thought at death? I read in Majjhima Nikaya 38, with the combination of Gandhabba, mother and father, then a new life come about. So Gandhabba is the temporary form where our consciousness transcend into before the birth take place. More or less, yes. Yeah, more or less, yes. Yeah. So this term Gandhabba, in some traditions, then we say that is the intermediate state, or the intermediate state. Yeah. As to the consciousness, I'm not sure, Xiaofang, whether your question is asking whether the consciousness, or are you asking what relation it has to our last thought moment, or asking whether it has relation to our last thought moment? Yeah. Have you all heard of this idea or teaching that our last thought moment will determine your rebirth? Yeah. So there's a very famous sutta that I've shared many times, and it's about this. I think it was a king who went to see the Buddha, and then he was going to leave around lunchtime, and then he considered that there's a lot of traffic. There's elephant, there's cow, there's cart, and everything. So he has a bit of concern and fear. So he asked the Buddha, if he were to leave now, and he may meet with some undue accident, and he may die in a horrible way, being trampled. What will be his rebirth like? Will he be reborn in the lower realms as a result? So this sutta is quite directly linked to this series of questions. So the Buddha said that, told him not to worry, yeah, because just as if a tree were to grow in a certain direction, and then it is prematurely cut off, the Buddha asked which direction will the tree fall? If the tree was growing in the east and then he's cut off, will it then suddenly fall to the west? Of course not. It will just fall towards the east. So the Buddha told him that similarly, you have been cultivating wholesomeness, yeah, supporting the Sangha, doing charity, and so on and so forth. So your mind has been conducing towards wholesomeness. So even if you die in such a way, that wholesomeness, that inclination will bring you towards a wholesome state as well. Yeah. And that's why we don't say that, oh, you just take care of your final moment. We say take care of your every moment. Yeah. That's why we look at all the practices. It's never just about the final moment. It's that every day, as much as you are able to, you should try to cultivate your thought moment from moment to moment. Yeah. Because that builds up the momentum. No? Patient asks, will there be class next week? Was thinking, should we use the lesson next week to share about one main thing we learned from this Heart Sutra lesson, or something to apply in our lives from the Heart Sutra? Yes, I think that's a good idea. I've been trying to do this for various classes to get people to write down their reflection, what they have learned. And in some of the retreats, I get students to do that. But what I found that is that a good number of students really write down their thoughts, their learning. But many Singaporeans don't like to write reflection one. Oh, so I hope you all take the opportunity to really reflect. It's not about trying to write down a good reflection. Okay, it's not about this is not a homework in the sense of, oh, I must write down a reflection that is worthy of the Heart Sutra. Yeah, but really write down what you have learned from the Heart Sutra. Okay, to give you an example, again, to laugh about Sifu. Yeah, people go for retreat, short-term novice retreat, wow, then they feel so touched, then they have great aspiration. Yeah, and they learn, wow, they have great aspiration, want to do this, want to do that. So for me, I told them, oh, my learning from the novice retreat is I don't have to eat so much. And then, so what are you going to do after retreat? Oh, I will not eat so much. Yeah. But that's really my learning. So this is as ridiculous as it gets, and it's my true reflection. Also, don't have to worry that your reflection sounds ridiculous or sound too lame, too simple. Yeah, put myself out there for you to laugh. Okay, yeah. So don't worry. Okay, just write down what you really reflect. So next week, I think it's a good idea. I love this idea. Peishan, thanks for suggesting this. So next week, it will be your turn to speak. So you must prepare, write down. Okay. But again, as I said, don't write down, wow, got dragon, got phoenix one. Just write down what you learned, okay? So Casey asked, Shifu, how could compassion for all sentient beings arise if there were not attachment? What motivates the compassion? Simplistically, what is the motivation for saving something that is impermanent anyway? Casey, where is Casey? Casey, yes. So, indeed, usually we are used to being compassionate towards things that matter to us, people that matter to us, yeah, isn't it? It's true. So without training, it is impossible to arise compassion, or very difficult to arise compassion. Two more lessons. What's a lot? Two more. This time around I go so fast, or I OT too much. I think I OT a bit too much. Maybe you all can look through the text also, because I did sort of skim a bit, go quite fast. Like Four Noble Truths, I actually go quite fast this time around. In other years, I actually spent 2 lessons. This time around, I just spent 1 lesson. Likewise for the 12 links. But back to the question from Casey. So I most agree with Casey that without training, we're not able to do it, or unlikely to do it, because it's not natural. Yeah. What is natural to us? What is natural to us is, if we identify with something or someone strongly to the point where we are attached, then it motivates us to act. So this is called acting out of attachment. Now, this is something that we are very used to. Something that we are very familiar with. So this is natural for us. Where did Casey go to? Okay. So, so now we learn something different. Yeah, we learn that whatever we are attached to actually don't exist the way we think it exists. But it doesn't mean that they don't exist. It's just that they exist in an unreal way. They exist in a dependent arising way. But at this point, it's just a concept for us. But even though it's just a concept for us, we will start to think about questions like this. We will start to think, what is the implication? you know, and it may cause us to question the basis for our usual way of doing things, of living our life, even though we haven't fully appreciated emptiness yet. Then consider how many sentient beings have not even heard of this teaching, much less appreciate this teaching. So for them, suffering is very real, you know. So whether we are enlightened or not, those, when we look at sentient beings, the sentient beings who are suffering, they really think they are suffering. Why? Because first and foremost, they don't even think whether their suffering is real or wrong. Of course, it's real. What are you talking about? At the first place, the objects, objects or people that it triggers the suffering is very real to them, and that's why suffering arises. But still, that suffering is also dependent, arising, and empty in nature. But it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. The suffering also exists. It's just that it doesn't exist the way we think. So for all intents and purposes, at this point, we haven't fully attained to emptiness. So we now have an idea of the emptiness. Yeah. So then, how do we then go about? Just start off having compassion at this state. At this state, we take things to be real, right? Correct or not? Yeah. If let's say you buy Bitcoin, how many of you buy Bitcoin? No, nobody. Only Sifu know Bitcoin. I never buy Bitcoin, but I know what is Bitcoin because it's technology. But let's say, okay, let's say maybe your handphone, maybe something more tangible. Yeah, your handphone, someone drop it, okay? Yeah, 3 times. Someone dropped 3 of your handphones. The first time is the person drop your handphone, and then the person says, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry." Then you buy a new handphone. Then you say, never mind, it's okay, another handphone. Then the second time, that same friend kind of borrow your phone again, and then drop. How? I think it becomes quite real. So we have to recognize that although we have learned the teachings, we are currently at this state. Yeah. So currently at this state, how can we have compassion? We just have compassion in the sense that, okay, suffering is real. The handphone is real. Yeah. Yeah. But the person is real also. Yeah. So currently, because we cannot, we only heard the idea of emptiness. So we cannot do it totally yet. So we just treat everything as real. And if everything is real, handphone also real, person also real, which is more important, person more important. So don't be angry with the person. Have compassion for that person. Yeah. And when you see someone suffering, treat the suffering as real for a start. Yeah. Because by the time you attain emptiness, you see that yes, all this is not real. But like a child crying, do you have kids, Casey? Don't have. Do you have nieces and nephew? Also don't have. Do you have do you have family members?
Yeah.
Yes. Let's say your family member in the middle of the night you heard a scream. Okay. Hey, are you married? Not married. So you still with a family? Okay. I don't mean to probe, but it's just to give some context. Okay. So let's say you heard a scream from your family, then you rush up, then you see that your family is screaming in a dream. Yeah. Would you say, scream? Anyway, it's just a dream. Or would you try to rouse your family member up? So in the teaching, the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas give this illustration that the enlightened one, although awakened and see that we are just suffering over dreams, are unreal. But know that in the dream, when we are in the dream, it's very real. Yeah. So the first part of the contemplation just now, I said, at this point, we treat everything as real. Yeah. So we suffer. People suffer. We suffer. Everybody suffer. Yeah. So now, if you would put yourself in the position of those who are enlightened, look at us. We are really suffering. We don't see it. So that's how compassion can still arise. So Lok John said there's 2 more lessons. So you all better have more things to say. Yeah. Hey, I tell you, it's true, no? Because some students commented to me, they say, Sifu, I find it very amazing. Huh? People ask you one short question, well, you can go on for half an hour. But I tell you, actually, when no one asks question, and when I'm alone, I don't talk. I don't talk to myself one. So Li Hui asked, "Hi, Shifu. I realized that I started eating more, plus unmindfully, to relieve stress since my work started." Oh, I thought initially when I read the first part, I thought that you started eating more plus unmindfully after the Heart Sutra class. I was like, oh my goodness, wow, what have I done? Okay, so it's since your work started now. I can see it, but I allow it to happen. Anyone has any suggestions? Haha, thank you. So she asked anyone, so you all can answer. But before you all answer, let me clarify. Because she says that she see it, but she allow it to happen. So if you allow it to happen, then what do you want? What suggestion do you want? You allow it to happen. Did anyone force you to allow it to happen? So is it having any negative impact on you? Scared that I gain weight. Yes. So you see, although weight is empty in nature, but we see it as really real weight that is gained. So we suffer. So you can make use of this delusion to help you lose weight also. Yeah. Because of the unreal weight, you suffer. Because of the unreal weight, you have the unreal effort to eat lesser. Otherwise, you'll gain unreal weight. And people will have the unreal impression of you being fat. Or unreal. Yeah. Or else you go to Shopee and then go and order those, I don't know what they call it, but you wear it and then it constricts your body. Yeah. But you I don't know whether is it still called a corset, but it's modern material, elastic type. Then you don't have to worry about gaining weight. You gain weight, but you will become denser. Yeah, basically your density increase because that device, right, actually trap you into a smaller volume. So smaller volume, higher weight, so density increase. Yeah, because yes, Koi Yong says it, become batang. Yes. But anybody have anything to comment about it before I jump in? But it's true. When we start to work, sometimes when we get stressful, when we are stressful, then what do? We just seek relief from our senses. Yeah, because the senses give us some pleasure. Yeah. So go and watch that urge. Oh, but before you watch that urge, you must have a good reason. Oh, I don't know whether the fear of gaining weight is strong enough. Yeah. Because sometimes you are so far gone, you're like, fat, then and you're so stressed, you're like, Yeah. Then after that, you hot already, right? Then you look at the mirror, or you get even more stressed, then you eat more, then becomes a vicious cycle. Yeah, but luckily you are 23 years old, so your metabolic rate is high. Yeah. When I was your age, I can eat 10 prata, no problem. Yeah. At 11 p.m. Yeah. I'll tell you all the story another time. Patient says, can buy healthy snacks, grapes, fruits, nuts to bring to work. So if you really need the food, you have a higher, healthier choice. Wow. Patient is the healthy lifestyle type. I must say, sometimes when such questions come out, I'm a bit at a loss of how to deal with it, because since young, my mom control us like a dictator regime, like a communist state. My mom is very strict with us, so we don't take snacks. Yeah, since young we don't take snacks. The only time we eat those tidbits is when we are young, right? We only eat tidbits during Chinese New Year. Yeah, throughout the whole year we don't take snacks. Yeah, once in a while she let us buy kaka, 20 cents one small pack. That's it. Like maybe once a week. That's it. Yeah, no soft drink, no nothing. So when it's time for lunch, time for breakfast, time for dinner, wow, we are very hungry. Yeah, which is good actually, because your main meal, you know. Yeah. So when students ask me how to overcome this snacking, actually I find it a bit difficult to advise also, to be very honest. Because I don't have this problem, because my mother but I'm thankful that she yeah. Yeah, because in the Vinaya we have this rule also. 不常食. That means after our main meal we don't snack. Yeah. But nowadays, sometimes in the morning I have to snack. You know why? Because students give me a lot of food. So I try to finish. So, yeah. Shifu, linked to Casey's question, so we should also see our practices and efforts as very real until we attain the wisdom of emptiness. Short answer, yes. Yes. For now, you must see your suffering as real. Okay? Don't drop this as a first thing, okay? If there's a path, literally you draw a path, right? The teaching, to see the teaching as unreal is right at the end. Yeah, the objects of your desire, objects that cause you to have defilements, see it as unreal. Your defilements, you must see it as real. Your suffering, you must see it as real. When you overcome your suffering, really, then then it's time for you to see it as unreal. When you finish the practice, finish the path, then you will see the practice as unreal. So basically, only when you're done with things, then you'll see it as unreal. When you're not done with it, see it as real. Okay? Or simply put. Okay. So, Long John, we really have 2 more lessons. Huh? Okay. So, I hope you all still come for the next 2 lessons to do sharing. But as I said, there are some topics which I did cover, but I cover in brief compared to past years. And that's why we finished up earlier. So go through your notes, reflect on what you have learned, write it down. The chart earlier, do the exercise. And then if you have questions about some of the topics, yeah, you can ask. All right. Yeah, and I hope this can help you, yeah, in your life. Okay. Put our palms together. 愿消三障诸烦恼，
消三障诸烦恼，
愿得智慧真明了，
愿得智慧真明了，
不愿罪障悉消除，
不愿罪障悉消除，
世世常行菩萨道。
世世常行菩萨道。
阿弥陀佛，起立。
Brothers and sisters, let us pay respect and thank Shifu with 3 prostrations. First prostration. Second prostration. Third prostration.
Till we meet again, may be guided and protected by the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So, ways, quite. One last exercise. Remember the 3 things you wrote down? So now apply all that you have learned on these 3 things. This is the graduation exercise. This is the final year project. Okay? Take care of yourself. Stay safe. Till next week. Bye-bye.